Hey, yo, fellowshippers, welcome to the Fellaship Hall with the twins and Ralph. I am Ralph, aka Big Ham, and I'm here with my boy, twin number one, Keith, and twin number two, Ken. And we are here today to talk about Bridgerton. But before we get into it, we'd like to let you know today's podcast is sponsored by Simone Sweets, the premier cookie baker in the area of Memphis. Simone Sweets, you can get your orders in today at SimoneSweets.com and be ready to pick them up on Sunday at her pickup spots. We want to thank Simone Sweets for sponsoring us today. Now, let's get into it. Ken, introduce yourselves to the people.
What's up, fellowshippers? It's your boy Ken, aka Odd Man Out. Thanks for tuning in with us today. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Keith.
What's up, fellowshippers? This is Keith, aka the moderator. You know me, I know you. Let's go ahead and start talking about Bridgerton. I think that we finally at the last two episodes, so we're kind of hyped up about that, at least right now. I guess we'll see how the show goes, but the last two episodes were Oceans Apart and After the Rain. I thank you for joining with us and sticking with us until this point. Let's see what happens. All right, Ralph, go ahead and kick us off with your reaction.
Hey, man, my reaction is this, man. I was all in. We've been all in. And then 7 and 8 were good, but I saw it all coming, man. I saw everything that happened. I seen it coming. I got a little frustrated with the Duke, especially in episode 7. He was just irritating me terribly. Like, come on, man, step out of it and, stop creating problems where there shouldn't be any. Like, you got to understand that you're married now. And as Anthony was telling him, bro, you're the head of the household now. He had a lot to say about how Anthony was the head of his household, but he was starting his journey out as the head terribly wrong.
Yeah.
So he irritated me a lot. I saw it coming, man. I just I saw everything coming. I knew they were going to get past it. I knew they were eventually going to go ahead and complete the whole cycle of procreation. And I knew she was going to be with child. And I knew she was going to end up having a boy. And, because that was the biggest thing that he was worried about. And I knew it was going to be a boy. So I knew all that was going to happen. And after our discussion last week, and after I saw that the Featheringtons were removed from the Queen's brunch, I then knew who Lady Whistledown was, because in her pamphlet, she didn't mention the Queen's luncheon. Remember the Queen said, she didn't mention my luncheon.
That is a great
So I was
point.
wow. I know who Lady Whistledown is now. I knew it was Penelope because she wasn't there. She didn't mention the luncheon. So, and I was still intrigued and entertained. I just, the writing had been superb, and it still was good writing. I just saw everything coming. So since I saw everything coming, I felt like I kind of wanted to get hit with a little gut punch or something like, God dog it, I didn't know it, but I saw everything coming. The one thing that was kind of minor in the show, I thought the interaction between Marina and Colin was really good. I thought that was really good television. I thought that was good. And I also knew that she was going to end up marrying the brother.
I don't see how you knew that. I don't see how you knew that.
Did you?
I knew that too, because when he came the first time, she resisted, but it wasn't necessarily because she didn't like him. It was because she was still mourning out after finally figuring out that George was dead.
Plus, she thought she had lost the baby.
She thought the baby was gone too.
She thought she lost the baby too.
Yeah.
But it was more so because George was dead. And then I knew that she realized once she didn't have the baby and she had no other recourse. And then when Lady Featherington talked to her about learning to love over time, I knew she was going to go ahead and marry him. So I saw that coming too. But that probably was the most suspenseful thing, in those last two episodes. But it still was entertaining. It was still very good. I don't know if y'all feel the same way, but I saw a lot of that coming.
Hey, Big Man, that's a good breakdown, honestly. Your Penelope thing threw me for a loop because I won't give my reaction just yet, but I thought that was a great point you brought up about Penelope. All right, Ken, go ahead and give us your reaction.
Yeah, so Big Ham came through saying that he figured everything out beforehand. So maybe instead of calling him Nose, we should be calling him Nostradamus.
But it's been done before. It won't be the first time.
Yeah,
But yeah, I'm with him. I didn't see everything coming, or at least not as much as he did. And before we go any further, I think we need to have a moment of silence for Lord Featherington. He was a staple in the show that we end up losing. Per his own fault, his own doing, but we did lose him. So now that we're past that, I thought it was good. I'm with Big Ham. I was disappointed in my boy the Duke. The way he was treating Daphne, because they would be mad at each other, but then they passion would come together for them too, and then the Duke would fall back into his old ways. They had their moment on the stairs, and then Daphne like, let's take this to the bedroom, go further, and he was like, no, which I don't understand why you turn it down. You've already come this far. You go ahead and finish it up, then go to your room and be mad. But then once he had his fight with Anthony, and she sat down on his lap and cleaned his face and stuff, and then he stand up and stuff. So I just think Simon was just too dead set in his ways and too stubborn. Fortunately, like Ray said, it was predictable. They did come together, but I thought that was kind of a little bit of a drain that he was that way towards her. But they came together in the end, so that was cool. And then some of the side families like the Featheringtons, which I mentioned earlier, they end up having the boxing match. They wheeled through the fight so the Featherington could win his money, and then it looks like these guys ended up meeting him, where I guess he was trying to partake of some carnal knowledge at the brothel. He thought he was getting something. He ended up getting the okie doke. And I think that bottle that they put down, I couldn't make out the first line, but the second line I think had poison on it. So I assume they made him drink poison. And they found out he was dead. And then obviously the whole Marina thing with George's brother Philip. It was cool. So I was happy. I didn't see the Lady Whistledown coming, honestly, and I definitely did not think about the whole Queen's brunch not being part of the letter as a clue. So that was definitely some good work by Ray out there. So I thought it was a good episode. I'll get a little bit deeper into some of my likes and dislikes in our next segment, but I'm not mad at the episode. I thought it was a great conclusion, and now we got to see what happens with the lives of everybody, basically. But supposedly there's supposed to be like 7 or 8 seasons of this. At least that's what I heard. So I don't know where they're gonna go from there, but it'll be interesting to see. What
good
about
breakdown? Yeah, good breakdown, Ken. So I guess I'll go ahead and give my reaction real quick. As usual, I feel like when two of us talk and then the last one talks, a lot has already been said, but I'll still throw in my 2 cents. I'm basically in agreement with you guys. And I have to agree with Big Ham. Like, I thought these 2 episodes were probably the lower of the episodes I saw in advance. So not saying they were bad, but they just didn't captivate me like the previous ones. I'll say that. I felt a lot of frustration for Ken's boy, the Duke, in these last 2 episodes, or 1.5, or whatever you want to say. I felt like he was holding on to something that was hindering himself, and not only that, but hindering Daphne, which was, okay, if you're trying to do something to hurt your father who's already gone, and you're living now, and you're only hurting yourself and somebody you love, then you're no better than your father in that sense. I thought the Lord Feathering thing was probably, his due diligence, or not due diligence, but his what I don't know what I'm saying, but I guess it was due to him. It was him reaping what he had sown. How about that?
Yeah,
it was him reaping what he had sown. And Kendrick, you're right. I couldn't see what was on the bottle, but when they sat it down, I knew it had to be something important. One thing I don't necessarily understand about that whole Lord Feathering thing was, how did the money go away? Like, did they make them? Right. Did they take them back to the house and then bring them back? But nevertheless, Lord Feathering, I'm glad he's gone because he did some dirty things in the show. So you asked for a moment of silence, and I respected you, but in the background, I was thinking, about time. As far as anything else, I still thought Daphne was good. Her mother was good. I think the last episode, one thing about it, while it was finally something that we wanted to happen, which was the Duke accepting that he should give her a family because he wants a family, or, it's the right thing to do.
Right.
For him to change in one episode or one rainstorm, that was a little bit power-esque writing. I think it was
Yeah,
just
man.
let's make it happen. You know, let's not waste too much time on the logic behind it, especially since he was so stone against it. And then a little rain.
We only got one episode left. Let's go to tie it up.
Yeah. And then, like Ralph said, him having a son was just like, okay, you know, I'm gonna change and I'm gonna have a son. So guess what? I have relinquished every bit of hostility I had in my vow to never blah blah blah. Like he gave her a child and it was a son, and it all happened in the same episode. So I'm wondering about that. But still, you know, that's what I wanted to happen. So one point is I'm like, you know, I'm glad that it happened, but in another side, I'm like, it happened so fast that it was kind of like, geez, you know, you were so against it for 7 episodes, and half an episode you already changed. You know, because it wasn't like I'm chipping away at some stone. Yeah. It was a solid stone, and it was the same in 7 episodes. And then half an episode, not only have I chipped it away, but I've broken it in half or broken apart, whatever. But anyway, I still like the show, Fellowship, so don't come at me too hard. I still like the show. I just thought the last 2 episodes was a little bit of a letdown from the mountain that it had built up in my mind for the first.
I'm in agreement with you. I think they probably reached the, you know, you like for most shows to hit the climax at the season finale, season end. Yeah. They probably hit the climax around about episode 5 or 6 and everything else. Like, you know, a means to an end, so to speak.
Exactly. Closing up the loop or whatever. Yeah. But good reactions, fellas. You know, Fellowshippers, let us know what you think in the comments, or you know, whatever you feel that we were wrong in, make sure you call us out and we'll try to address it. You know, if you call us out, that's one thing we're gonna try to do is get back with you. But next, you know what segment it is. It's the love, hate, or mess segment. And we know you like that. That's one of our favorites. I think last week we had a fiery hate, so I'm looking forward to that. Today, I think for the finale, I think we're gonna flip it around. I didn't tell the fellas about it, but I hope they don't mind. We're gonna flip it around and we're gonna do the mess first. And we're gonna start out with our moral compass, none other than Ken. Man, hit us with your mess for the last 2 episodes.
My mess for this week's cast is Will the Boxer. Will the Boxer is my man because honestly, throughout the show, he's kind of been Simon's sparring partner. He was his second at the duel, so I give him that. But that was pretty much the extent of his role, just kind of a cameo to sometimes question Simon about his marriage or about his duties or how he's feeling towards his marriage. And so
no offense, Ken, but I feel like Simon was almost, I feel like Will was almost Simon's moral compass. No offense.
Maybe, but we saw if he was the moral compass, he must be broke this last episode because he threw the fight to win the money with Featherington, and so that was the kind of the straw that broke the camel's back for me is that he ended up throwing that fight. Now obviously he did it for his family and stuff like that, so I'm not so upset. But the real reason that Joker is my man is because his acting throwing the fight was abysmal. He was throwing punches on dude. And then, my shoulder or my arm is hurt. And then he just took a beating and then took a couple punches, fell on the ground and stayed on the ground, man. So, yeah, Will let me down this episode. And not like he didn't have far to fall. And so he, you know, his performance was as flat as him laying on the mat for me. So that's what Will said. I know the Fellowship was probably expecting me to do Eloise. And believe me, it was hard not to, especially in these episodes. Because you know she still complained, and she was like, "Oh, maybe this scandal can delay my coming out." And I'm like, "Come on, girl, I'm sick of this." But Will won this week. I'm trying to get a Fellowship of some variety, and I'm giving it to Will. Will lost the match, and he's lost me.
Wow. Yep. Okay, Big Ham, I'm gonna go ahead and chime in since I'm on the mic right now, and I guess I'm okay with your Mac Ken, but my Mac for this,
it's who it is.
Yeah, okay. My meth for these last 2 episodes, my meth for these last 2 episodes, and as I go back and look over the first season, I hate to admit it, but I feel like that maybe I was flawed in some of my meds the past episodes, because my meth in this last episode, unfortunately, is probably my overall meth for the season. My meth these last 2 episodes is the Queen. And
Oh,
I'm
wow.
sorry to say it. I'm sorry to say it. I know that's probably a surprise to you guys and the fellowship, but the Queen was my man these last two episodes, especially because first of all, I'm grateful, in this alternate reality. I'm great or alternate universe. I'm grateful that she married the king and she brought this status to the races. But like she really doesn't move the story. Okay, oh, let's go to the ball with the queen so we can see who will be the pearl or whatever, peach of the season or whatever. Okay, so there she is. Then she has people come. She talks to Danbury and Lady Bridgerton about the Duke and the Daphne. And then what is this? And Kendrick mentioned it last show. What is he talking to Eloise, a young girl, talking about doing some research? Okay, she did it. Okay, then these last two episodes, she calls her, asks her about it, and then dismisses her when she doesn't have an answer. And then she says, "I'll send my guards to find out." Like I hate to say it, but the queen, her importance was the normalizing of the races, or the I guess the the standardize of the equalizer. There you go, equalizing of the races. But after that, man, she was just meh. I was like, okay, I'm more excited about the characters in front of the queen than the queen herself. So my meh for not only these last two episodes, my overall meh is the queen.
Man, I'm gonna tell you what. You made an excellent point, and I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. That's a great man. I agree with you, but it's not my man.
Okay.
And unfortunately, I'm not gonna agree with you on your man, Keith, but I'm in total agreement with Ken on his man. And my man is Will Munrich. For all the reasons that Ken said. But here's another thing, man. The reason why he's my man, because he was also the show's man. I'm gonna tell you why. Because Munrich through that fight, the evil dudes knew they killed Featherington. We ain't heard nothing about what happened to Munrich. And so, the show themselves said, man, Munrich is not important. Featherington's dead. That's all you need to know. We don't know if Munrich is good. We don't know if he took the money and left. We don't know if they killed Munrich too. That's why he's the man. The show didn't even care enough about him to tell us what happened to him.
That's a good point. That's a great point. Hey, let me ask you something real quick. Who do you think was the bigger character this season, Munrich or Lord Featherington?
I think Featherington was, because his family was the foils, and then we learned
his family, but not him,
because of him and his actions. Because he losing money, because he's been addicted to gambling, because he's been not holding up his end of the bargain as the leader, as the man of the family. So I think he was the bigger one. The only thing Munrich was there for was for Simon to have a talking head on a soft place to land with his problems. Other than that, Munrich wasn't really needed.
Okay.
And the show told us that because Featherington got killed for throwing the fight, that Munrich was the throwee, and we never got to learn what happened to Munrich.
That's true.
So
Munrich was at the ball. Yeah. Okay. Hey, that's why we do this, to see what we're thinking about. It's not always going to be the same, and sometimes we're going to have disagreements, but I can't be mad at you guys for that, man. So I'm okay with it. All right, next.
Hey, real quick, if we throwing out overall mayors of the season, Eloise.
Okay. I think everybody saw that one coming from you anyway.
Hey, and Keith, so we throwing out overall mayors, I'm gonna agree with you with the queen. Your points were on point, man. And I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Hey, they usually are. All right, fellas. Let's go back to the beginning and tell us who your love for the last two episodes were. I think we'll start with Big Ham this time.
Man, my love, it was tough, man. I had two, and my honorable mention was Colin Bridgerton, because of how he handled that whole situation, and because he also said what I said he would. He said, if you had came to me with the truth, I would have married you anyway because I love you there, but so he was on my list. He's my honorable mention, but another Bridgerton is my love, and that was Daphne. Daphne made it all happen.
Yes, she did.
She made it all happen. She was the main catalyst, and her love for the Duke is the main catalyst that knocked down that big old solid stone you talked about, and melted it away and knocked it down, and so they were able to go ahead and tie the season up really quickly with that because of Daphne's actions. Also, I like the fact that she saw that her family's name was in peril, and she came to the rescue and handled everything.
Immediately.
Came to the rescue, handled everything. She had Colin get his closure with Miss Bridgerton. Tried to help Miss Bridgerton. I'm sorry. Had Colin get his closure out with Miss Thompson, excuse me.
Right.
And she tried to help Miss Thompson out and get her true love back to try to, save her standing in her rank in the ton, as well as gave her some excellent advice that kind of brought her around to coming to her final decision and conclusion. I thought she did good as far as reconciling her feelings with her mother, letting her mother know that she appreciated her, but let her mother know that also you failed me.
Yep, right.
And that's cool too, that you can show love for somebody, but then correct them with love. So she did that as well. She was just an all-around MVP of these last 2 episodes and all-around MVP of the show, of the whole season, in my opinion. So my love was Daphne. Finally, I found the mainstream love. So my love for the last 2 episodes was Daphne because she orchestrated everything. She made everything right. She gave birth to him a son that I kind of knew was coming. What I didn't know was that that naming the firstborn son with the name of letter of A in the British tradition. So we found it out. But my love was Daphne, man. Daphne was on point these last 2 episodes.
Good deal, man. And that was astute of you. Although I also figured it out when he said it's got to start with an A because there's a family tradition. And immediately when he said that, I started naming off the Bridgerton kids. And I was like,
all of them, not just the boys.
Oh, you know what? Ooh, I hate to do this in the middle of our love, but I got to. What was with them introducing the long lost Bridgerton daughter? That should have been somebody's man. Okay, Kendrick, let's go with your love. Let's go with your love.
It was so mad, I forgot it even happened until you said it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Okay,
I think she must have been introduced to try to show how the alphabets would tell the age of the children, because she was obviously after Eloise, but before the 2 younger kids, and her name started with an F. But yeah, it served.
So who was the G? Is the little boy the G?
Little boy is the G.
What's his name?
George, I think.
Okay, the Hyacinth.
Gregory. His name is Gregory. His name is Gregory, and the youngest name was Hyacinth.
Okay, I got it. Okay, cool.
All right, so sorry about that, folks. We had to go off on a little tangent. But back to the story. My love for these past 2 episodes was Lady Danbury. And the reason it was Lady Danbury is because, we've all mentioned her, but I mentioned her in I think both of the first pods about how great of a character she is, and how she, walks to the beat of her own drummer, but she's, super intelligent, really nice, kind, cares about others and things like that. She's always giving correct advice. And the reason I chose her this week was because of how perceptive she was. When Daphne and Simon came back because of the scandal with Marina and Colin, she immediately understood why they came back. She was the one that ended up telling Daphne the full story about the relationship between Simon and his father. And then also to kind of counterpoint what you guys were saying about the writing, how Simon kind of just changed his mind at the end, at the last, hour, and said he would have a child with Daphne. Remember, Danbury was talking to him about, is this still your plan to separate? And he was like, it is. And she's told him pride will cost you everything and leave you with nothing. So I honestly think Lady Danbury, with her significant role in Simon's life, actually helped convince him that, this woman is here. She loves you. She wants to have a family with you. You got to let this old stuff go, or you're going to end up with nothing. I think Danbury is actually the reason that he ended up pushing him over the edge to do the right thing. So for me, Lady Danbury is my love for this week. So she's a great character. She helps the show, and people respect her, and I respect her.
Hey, and her party with those wives was lit. It was lit in there.
It was.
Yeah, great one, man.
That was a great one, man. That was really good, Kendrick. And I gotta admit, that Lady Danbury was a good love. And so was Daphne, because I was riding hard with Daphne for the first one, and I think I almost picked her the second one. But this is the third one, and the last two episodes, I am in total agreement with the moral compass. My love for the last two episodes was Lady Danbury. I just thought she was quietly in the background, but you always saw her there, and she was working her magic, or whatever you want to say. When she would go against the Duke's father, she didn't back down. When his mother was in labor, she didn't back down. When she took the Duke to talk to him, and he was about to stutter or whatever, she still was defending him. And then these last two episodes, like Ken said, she was there. She was speaking wisdom to the Duke. I even think that the scene in the garden, it's always some garden stuff in this stuff, but the scene in the garden where Daphne and her mother were talking,
right,
and when they turned around, Lady Danbury was right there. It was like whenever Lady Danbury is around, either some knowledge is being given or some knowledge is being received. And it was. And Lady Danbury, I felt, was a key figure in the whole season. And I love the character. She was a strong woman, she was a Black woman, so that makes her strong to me. And with her, it wasn't just about the Duke, it was also about Daphne also. So I felt like Lady Danbury was one of the key figures in this season, and she was definitely my love for the last two episodes. And basically she was number 2 on my list for most of the season.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right, so thanks for your love, fellas. I guess I'll go ahead and kick it off with the hate. And I guess I'm gonna do something a little different. And I'm sorry, but I am the moderator, so I feel like I get to make the call on this one. So my hate, and I'm gonna add a S on the end of it, for these last two episodes is the Duke for episode 7 and Anthony for episode 8. And I'll tell you why.
Cop out.
I'll tell you why. The Duke was trash. The Duke was trash episode 7, man. The Duke has been on my love list top 3 for the whole season. And then one episode trashes him because he was so stubborn. And it wasn't like any kind of stubbornness that could be excused. It was a selfish stubbornness. It was no reason for him not to give the love of his life a child when he was blessed with the ability to do so. This girl, Daphne, had been riding so much with the Duke. She was going to marry him when she thought he couldn't give her a child. Then she found out he could, and he didn't tell her. And so she tricked him a little bit, although your wife really can't trick you in that I guess in that atmosphere, in my opinion. And he was still like this. So listen, let me tell you fellas something. We're all married. I'm telling you, me and my wife have arguments, but I'm gonna tell you when we didn't have arguments, and that was definitely the first 4 or 5 months of our marriage. So I was pretty happy those first 4 or 5 months. Not that I'm not happy now, but I definitely was pretty happy those first 4 or 5 months. And I thought the Duke doing the stuff that he was doing was wrong, and it made for good TV, but I just didn't like it. And then for him to kind of flip so easy, that was kind of a negative too. But Duke was my hate in episode 7. And then for episode 8, it switched to Colin. Switched to Anthony. Anthony has been kind of a character for me that I was kind of like, he has certain points, but he's really not a central figure. And even in the first podcast, my man was his opera singer girlfriend. And then it all came back around in episode 8 where he's like, okay, it's time for us to finally be together, right? And so they sneak off and cheat on her guy. And then they meet again. And then he goes to her place to pick up for the ball, where it finally seems like he's going to do something right, which he seemed like he was. And then she turns out to be kind of I'm going to start looking out for me, which is kind of understandable because he wasn't looking out for her when he said he was for the first few episodes. But then when he's this, oh, love is, who cares about love? Talking to the Duke and stuff at the end, I was like, all right, I can do without Anthony. Maybe not without him, but in episode 8, the whole fight and stuff, I didn't think that made a point for them to get the fighting. I didn't think that was a point. I'm sorry, fellas. I had to. The Duke, episode 7, and Anthony, episode 8. I'm sorry, fellowshippers. I'm sorry. I had to do it.
Call them out, fellowshippers. Call them out.
Hey, if you say something in the comments, let me know. I either give you a thumbs up or a thumbs down. All right, Ken. Ken, go with your hate.
My hate this week almost ended up being a tie. But then at the end of episode 8, it ended up focusing on one person, Siena, the opera singer. So I understand.
Hey, I'm with you, bro. I'm with you on that one.
So honestly, man, initially I was gonna hate the Anthony and Siena whole relationship, but at the end of the episode, so Anthony sees her at the boxing match. She's with another dude. Obviously, they go sneak off, do their little cheating, and then he in some room with her. They doing a little thing. He tell her he gonna take her to the ball. She seemingly agrees. He comes back. Dude is at her house. And she come back saying she gonna, she gotta look out for herself, and it's time, he ain't taking care of her. She gotta take care of herself, but she's still cheating. And so here's the thing: last week I hated Marina because she was lying and scheming, and Siena's doing the same thing this week. Don't come up here and say, you gonna be with a man that's taking care of you, and a day before or 2 days before you was messing around with another dude. Why are you supposedly with this guy? So this guy gets my sympathy because he got this lying, scheming, cheating woman who acting like she devoted to him by closing the door in Anthony's face, but she'd already been with him twice, at least twice that we know of, while she was supposedly with this dude. So she a cheater. She left the show for a little while, and she came back, and she was trying to mess with the dude. She's no good. She's no good. Baby, she's no good. Get rid of her.
Hey,
that's a good one.
Hey, I agree with you, and not just twice, remember 3 times, because she was at the first boxing match with dude, and then when Anthony thought he was going to go to the duel with Simon, and he thought he might die, she cheated on him then with him too.
Yeah, no good, man.
My hate, I certainly understand, and my hate is the Duke of Hastings.
Yeah,
man, the dude, and I just hate him simply because he was irritating me so bad in episode 7.
7 was terrible, man.
It was rough.
He just like he was just ticking me off down to my soul, man. And so that's why he's my hate for everything that Keith said, for everything I said in my reaction. He was my hate. You still holding this grudge, and you got somebody who's in love with you in spite of all your faults, and you about to lose it. And create yourself a lifetime of unhappiness simply all because of your pride, when the better recourse is to use the way he treats you for motivation to make sure that this doesn't happen in your line going forward. But yeah, he was my hate, the Duke of Hastings.
Good job, fellas. I apologize for veering off course, but you know what? I'm not sorry about it. All right, fellowshippers. You should be used to the next segment. Our next segment is usually who do we think is Lady Whistledown? Well, fortunately or unfortunately, however you want to put it, now we know. So we won't go into who we think it is since we know. We will just briefly mention our thoughts about who it is. And I'm gonna let Big Ham kick it off. What are your thoughts now that you know that Lady Whistledown is none other than Penelope Featherton?
Yeah, so like I told you, I saw it once the Feathertons left, and then the Queen said he read Lady Whistledown's pamphlet and saw that her luncheon wasn't mentioned. And I was like, that's because the Feathertons wasn't there. Penelope is Lady Whistledown. And so I was kind of excited when I first saw it. It was revealed that I was right about who I thought it was. And then I was ticked off because I was like, why would you put your family through what you put them through because you had a crush on the dude who saw you as a chubby little child. Like her sisters didn't deserve that. Her mothers didn't deserve that. She
Her
knew.
mother might have.
Yeah, her mother might have, but still,
But her
like,
sisters didn't. Yeah.
and even she herself, she sacrificed herself. Like, you tarnish your whole family's reputation for a love that you would have never gotten anyway. Yeah, that just touched me the wrong way. But once I realized that Lady Whistledown put out a pamphlet and didn't mention the luncheon, I knew it was Penelope. And
Nice.
I was just like, why Penelope? Why? So that was my thoughts about who Lady Whistledown was.
Okay, Ken, if you don't mind, I'm gonna jump in the middle and say, towards the middle of episode 7, I started to get a feeling that it probably was Penelope. And I think because Eloise was still searching so feverishly, trying to figure out who it was, I figured that, okay, it's got to be Penelope. Because looking back at our podcast from last week, I actually thought Ken was pretty close when he said it's either Eloise or Penelope, but he's going to go with Eloise. I was thinking about that, and I was like, either or. Ken makes a good point. And once we figured out that it wasn't Eloise for sure, then I said, okay, it's Penelope. But it doesn't make sense to me. And the reason why is because of what Eloise was saying throughout the season was that Lady Whistledown is probably somebody that has money that doesn't need the support of a man. And, you know, she knows things or whatever. That's fine. But the Featheringtons are poor. They're in debt thanks to their dad. So how is Penelope putting out this pamphlet unless she's hiding money away for herself, which is also not so good for your family? So I'm okay with it. I came to the conclusion, although Ralph's point was excellent, and I didn't pick up on it about not writing about the Queen's ball, but I should have, because the Queen, that was one of the things that the Queen was mad about, or focal point. But anyway, I don't see how Penelope can be Miss Whistledown, Lady Whistledown, with no money. So I don't know how that connects. So that's my thought. Ken, go ahead and finish it up for us.
Yeah, I think you guys made great points. I was gonna ask the same thing, like how is Penelope able to sneak away, and she got this personal carriage taking her place, and obviously Eloise also had a personal carriage take her somewhere, but the Bridgertons aren't suffering for money. In Penelope's case, though, I think she actually is selling those. I think the first one may have been free, but I think they are purchased now. So somehow she's getting money and saving it. For some reason, as I was hearing some of the things that the Whistledown voice was saying, I don't necessarily know if it was in the paper or not, but it seemed like that she was knowing things that even Penelope should have known, like about Daphne and the Duke not being pregnant yet, but also thinking about some potential turmoil in their marriage and things like that. And it's just a little bit more than this Whistledown would have known. So I don't know if the show was kind of, just kind of over encapsulating things by having the narrating Miss Whistledown say things that the actual, Penelope Miss Whistledown shouldn't have known. Yeah. I guess I'm okay with it. I don't really know how old Penelope is. I'm assuming she's around Eloise's age, and I'm thinking they're between 15 and 18 or something like that, in that range, maybe. So it still seems a little bit mature for Penelope to know this stuff. And I'm gonna even base that off last week's critical thinking question, because I'm assuming Eloise should be at a similar understanding level. I'm assuming Penelope should be at a similar understanding level as Eloise. So it just seemed like some of the maturity of the things she was writing and the way she understood things might have been a bit much or unbelievable for Penelope. But the signs will point to her. So obviously the show couldn't have threw a ridiculous curveball because they had basically stepped too much into it. So yeah, I guess I'm okay with it, but it leaves a few open questions in my mind.
Okay, thanks, Ken. That was a good assessment of it. I guess it's strange, but it's kind of pointed to it. So you're right; they had to go that way. I guess.
Excuse me, Keith. One thing that I'm in total agreement with Ken about was like Daphne not knowing anything about procreation, and Lady Whistledown in there talking about honeymoon phase and a baby coming within the year. And so Daphne is older than Penelope, but Penelope knows about all of that.
Right.
That wasn't believable, but
that Featherington household, baby.
Yeah, maybe so. But like, I don't know. I think that goes back to, like we were saying earlier, how they felt. I guess it was thought they were going to have 10 episodes, and they got cut to 8 because the writing was flawless up until those last 2 episodes, man.
Yeah, like they pushed it in.
Yeah.
You know what? Real quick, Ralph, since you mentioned it, remember when Eloise found out from Penelope that Marina, somebody in the Featherington house was pregnant? Eloise was the one asking the questions, though, not really Penelope, right? Eloise was like, "How is she pregnant if she's not married?"
Yeah.
And Penelope just didn't say much. So that's something to think back on.
Maybe she knew. Maybe
Marina
she
may have told her
think.
what happened though, but I know Marina gave her, because Penelope asked Marina, how did it happen? And Marina kind of gave her a vague answer.
Yeah,
she
didn't
really give her the true answer of what happened.
Yeah,
that's true.
All right. Well, Ken kind of alluded to it about a few more seasons of it, and I'm sure it was a top-rated show on the Netflix series, Netflix app. So I guess it's probably going to happen. So, fellas, what do you think is going to happen?
They did announce. I'm sorry, they did announce that season 2 will happen for sure.
Okay, so what do you think is going to happen next season, Ken?
I think next season.
But what do you want to happen?
I guess I want it to flow organically. I don't want it to be forced. And so what I'm expecting is Daphne and the Duke said that they were going to stay in London for a little while. So I'm assuming it'll follow their lives. But what I'm looking forward to is understanding what happened to the Featherington family, because somebody else was going to take over their home. And Lady Featherington knows who's going to take it over. And I jotted this down. I could be 100% wrong. And Fellowshippers, if you guys agree or disagree, let us know. But she opened up a card to see who was taking over, and then I thought Anthony kind of alluded to him going to do something to find have a takeover, something he mentioned, and I jotted it down. There's no way that Anthony is going to take over the Featherington family. But I don't know. There will be a huge twist, and that'd be interesting. But that was something I jotted down. Maybe absolutely wrong. I might have been linking things together, but I'm anxious to see what happens to the Featherington family. I'm anxious to see what happens to Daphne and Simon, and obviously the rest of the Bridgerton clan. And I know Colin is going off, so he'll probably be absent from at least the next season, or at least a portion of it. So we'll see what happens.
Big Ham.
So I was anxious to wonder if they're going to continue with the natural arc of the story, or they're going to start over again with the next season. The next courtship marriage season that's going on at the time. Ooh. So, will there be Eloise season to get courted, and how she's going to reconcile her feelings about even doing that? Or if they're just going to continue with the natural arc of the story? Because there's a lot of things there. We can continue to see the evolution of the Duke and Duchess as, in their province ruling, as well as how the family's going. We continue to see like Ken said, what's going to become of the Featheringtons, who's taking over, what's going to happen. What will Lady Whistledown now have to talk about, if there's no courting season going on. So, there's a couple of things. So there's a couple of things that I'm interested in, and just kind of looking forward to seeing what they're going to do. I think a good recourse for them to do would be to just start with a whole new courting season.
Really?
But we'll kind of see how it's going to go, because that story with Anthony and Siena is an interesting story to me as well, when they become a bigger part of the plot as well. So we're going to see. And also, I'm interested to see what's going to happen with Marina. She was one of my favorites throughout the show, even though she was not featured often a lot in the show. She was still one of my favorites, and her story still was speaking to me. So I'm wondering what's going to happen with her and her marriage as well. I kind of want to see what's going to happen with the one Featherington sister and the Sneeze guy. I want to see what's going to happen with that as well. So yeah, there's a lot of ways they can go with season 2.
Okay. I'm not mad at that. I actually think that it could go like when you were talking, Rev. I was like, why can't it be both? Why can't they still follow Daphne and the Duke, and then go back to Eloise in her next courting season or whatever? We know the Featherington girls are still trying to find a suitor, so we know they're still there. Maybe Eloise's younger sister is also going to get a more prominent role in being the Eloise of next season, whereas Eloise is now like Daphne as far as in her courting season or whatever. So who knows? I do hope they follow the Duke and Duchess because they're our center of our nucleus for this show. Their relationship was the basis for the show, and so that's who we're invested in right now. Honestly,
Right.
I would like for them to keep that. But again, I gotta admit, as much as it pains me to admit, Marina did go up a few notches in my book these last 2 episodes. She did. I gotta be honest with you guys. At one point, I was like, maybe Marina could be my love, and I was like, surely no. But of course, it was Lady Danbury all along. But Marina went up a few notches in my book, so I'm interested a little bit. And they could just say, hey, Marina had a baby and she's doing fine with George, and I'll be fine, honestly. But I do want to know what happened a little bit with her. I wonder if they're gonna tell a little bit more about Lord Featherington and his death. Like your husband died. They didn't say it was suspicious or anything, but I don't know the traditions back then. But yeah, I'm looking forward to next season. I'm hoping that the fellowshippers will still be with us and wanting to hear our opinions about the show. So I guess we'll see. But yeah, I'm excited for next season when that'll be. And I think they can go a few different ways, but I don't think they necessarily have to go one specific way. I think they can have different stories that entertain us.
Hey, I got one quick thing that I thought about watching the episodes. We were speculating how Marina, before we knew the story, we were speculating how she came to be at the Featheringtons. And obviously it's a gambling debt. But one thing I realized is that she didn't realize that she was pregnant until she was already there. So I'm assuming her family didn't know anything about her being pregnant, and maybe it was purely the money that Lord Featherington owed them was the reason she was sent there. It had nothing to do with her pregnancy. Because for some reason in my mind I was thinking that, but I was like, she didn't realize she was pregnant until she was already with them. So maybe it had nothing to do with her being pregnant. Maybe it was purely his gambling debts.
Yeah. And then, man, you gotta give Marina credit too, man. Like, she stood up for herself. Like, when she was there and everybody was trying to get ready to talk down on her, she was like, I'm not gonna sit here and take that from y'all. So I thought that took courage. So I admired that, man. I became a fan. I was always a fan of her, but I became an even bigger fan then.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, she went up a few notches in my book for a few reasons, but she definitely rose from being on the bottom of my list to being in the middle or top bottom.
She's still what she is for me. She's still what she is for me. Sorry.
All right, fellas. I think we can go ahead and wrap it up now. We usually have a critical thinking one, but I think for the season finale, we're just gonna leave it at our predictions for next season, and give you fellas a chance to close it out. So, Ken, what do you want to say about the full season of Bridgerton, and thank the fellowshippers for tuning in with us.
Yep. Obviously, thank you, Fellowship, for tuning in, watching this series, going on this journey with us. I'll be honest, I did not expect to like the show as much as I did. I thought it was gonna be a bit stiff and a bit boring, and episode one delivered almost. And then at the end it picked up, and then from there it caught on, and I ended up liking the show. It was must see TV for me. I think they developed a lot of characters. They drew us in. They explained things to us. There were twists and turns and surprises. I really enjoyed the show, and I'm looking forward to season 2. And my hope is that it doesn't drop off. Is that the writing stays as clean and crisp and enticing as it was for season 1. So yeah, I have nothing bad to say about the show. I thought it was a good show to watch, and I'm interested to see the next season.
Yeah, man, I thoroughly enjoyed it, man, and I'm interested to go ahead and watch the next season that's coming up as well. I mean, I enjoyed it. It was great writing. We didn't have any problem with the writing until like the last couple of episodes. And I think, Netflix has a good history of putting these shows together and making good shows. So I think it's going to be even better in season 2. So I'm looking forward to it, man.
Yeah. So thank you guys for tuning in. Obviously we'll have more shows to review, so we hope you keep coming back. But specifically Bridgerton, like the fellas mentioned, that was one where we wondered about. Sometimes stuff can be on social media and it's still catered for the ladies or catered for a sports fan or whatever. So this one was kind of a wild card because I did not expect to like it, and I found myself really, really enjoying the story and falling in love with this Bridgerton girl and this man that hated his father because of the things that his father subjected him to. And then their love was kind of like, okay, this is what I want to happen. And, it did happen. It had some ups and downs and, but it persevered. And I think maybe we can kind of apply that to our own lives that, no matter if you think things are hard or impossible, you still got a chance to overcome. So, if I didn't learn anything from this show, aside from entertainment, is that, you still can work through things and come out the better for it. So.
All right, man. Look, we want to thank you all for tuning in to the Fellaship Hall for our review of Bridgerton. Once again, remember, we want to thank our sponsor, Simone Sweets, for sponsoring the show today. If you're in the Memphis area, the Northwest Mississippi, or East Arkansas area, you can go to SimoneSweets.com now and put in your order. My favorite are the chocolate chip pecans. I advise you to try those. Put your orders in, and on this Sunday, remember, you can pick up at 2 at the Walmart in South Haven, at 3 at the Paradiso Cinema in East Memphis, and at 4 at the Wolf Chase Mall out in Cordova. Once again, fellow shippers, thank you for tuning to the Fellaship Hall with Twins and Ralph. We'll see you in our next review. Until then, be blessed.
Be blessed, fellow shippers.